Hello and welcome to the IGN UK podcast. I'm joined this week by Rory Powers.
Hello.
And Alicia Judge.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Got a cup of tea.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had this combination before.
I know.
Is it a winner? Is it a loser? Let's find out.
You decide.
Yeah, well, I haven't been on with you in...
Apart from last week, I haven't done it for months.
That's madness.
But last week's was the most downloaded podcast of the year.
Was it? Oh, it's because you named... It had no title, it was just Alex Simmons.
Just
and everyone was like, he's back.
Picture of my face. Yeah.
It's like fight night. Everyone wants to see what's going on in the podcast.
No, I don't know. But it was a fun podcast last week. We spoke about something
You spoke about how tall I was, and Gav said, "Yeah, Alicia, she's like 6'2".
Yeah.
I'm not 6'2".
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot. I mean, I appreciate the extra 2 inches. It'll help me grab the salt from the top of the kitchen.
I always appreciate an extra 2 inches.
shelf.
Hey,
Sorry,
that's why he's the best. That's why he's the king.
Dale put like a cymbal crash in at that moment. Yeah, I'm glad. I just wanted to clear that up.
Well, that's because we were talking about how small you could fold yourself while watching scary films.
What the hell? How small you can fold yourself?
I am like a contortionist when it comes to sitting front row at horror movies.
Do you like ball up?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I emote.
Cool.
I emote through the power of my limbs.
I call that Goroning. Because like in Zelda, they like curl up in a ball, like Gorons to defend themselves.
Makes more
that's
sense.
Totally cool.
That makes more sense now you explained it, because otherwise it's like, what the hell is
all right, let's move on. Rory's lost his mind.
Sounds painful.
Sounds like the kind of thing that you get up to a weekend that you really shouldn't be talking about.
Yeah, Goroning at the park. Ooh, messy times.
Behind a bush.
Anyway, let's talk about something that is relevant this weekend apart from Gorning, and that is FIFA. That is out next week. If you've got EA access, you can play it right now.
Wow.
But our review went up this week, and I've been playing a bit of it. And I'm not a massive FIFA fan, but it's got a new mode in there called The Journey, which is a story mode, which, when I originally heard a sports game with a story mode, is like, why?
I think we were all kind of laughing when you first hear about it, because that sounds ridiculous.
But it's actually really good.
I'm not surprised, actually. I agree in some senses that it does sound mental to put story on a game that is essentially, most people play FIFA for the multiplayer element, and multiplayer never needs story. It's just you against a person.
You forge your own stories.
Exactly, but I think we love that kind of story arc where you start from the bottom and work your way from the top, and FIFA works exactly that way.
It's a proper rags to riches tale.
Completely.
Like, even if you're not very good at it, like me. So you start off as this guy called Alex Hunter, who is... Tell me about that.
It's just such a normal name, Alexander Hunter.
Well, no, it's Alex Hunter.
Alex Hunter. That's even
Alex
more
Hunter.
normal.
There's nothing wrong with the name Alex.
No, I'm just saying.
It could have gone
kind of
more.
bland.
Well, it's like Rory Powers.
Yeah, Rory Powers. It's a typical English
Rory
boy.
Powers, they go like, no one's called Rory Powers. What a stupid name.
This does not sound very realistic.
Anyway, so you start off this kid, and it starts off when you're a kind of teenager playing football on Clapham Common, and obviously you score the winning goal. Cut to 6 years later, and you're going for your trial at an academy, blah, 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 blah. And it's very EastEnders in its approach. Like, kind of, the acting is, well, certainly from your mum and from your granddad, who was a pro footballer in the 60s and scored like the winning goal in the FA Cup final, hence why you're into football, blah, blah, blah.
And whenever you score a goal, does it go do, 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 do.
Dun, dun,
You
dun,
scored
dun.
a really big goal. Do, do, do,
That is the worst rendition of the EastEnders thing I've ever heard. I wouldn't even been able to tell that was EastEnders, apart from the fact I said EastEnders earlier.
I'm sorry, I have not been hired for my musical ability.
See, I think it would be great if you'd be playing games and then when you were about to score a goal, it would go in slow motion and like in the clouds, your grandfather's head would form and be like, "You can do it, Alex. I believe in you."
You've
and then
got
you're
on
like,
JR.
"Oh,
he's not dead."
He's not dead. No.
Why would he be in the clouds?
Like Lion King, he's up there.
Yeah, but he was dead.
Well, yeah, I thought the granddad was dead.
No.
Oh, okay, he's still
alive.
alive. Well,
He's
you'd be in the stands
He's
then.
the one that takes
He
you
could just
he takes you to the training ground.
I'd be very worried then if he's still kicking about. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
As kind of weird as this seems, good for FIFA on like trying to do something really
new.
different in a game. Exactly,
Yeah,
it's not just the same
absolutely.
old thing with updated graphics.
I feel like FIFA and Call of Duty are our staples. They are our bread and butter in the AAA video games. And every year, it's kind of the same game but with minor tweaks, whereas this is a massive kind of wrench to the formula.
Like, I feel like even if you don't particularly like, I didn't particularly like the actual mechanics or the football game that FIFA plays. Like, it feels a bit slow and like ridiculously, that's the weakest part in my eyes. But like, I would quite happily buy a normal game for its story mode that lasted 10 hours. So why wouldn't I do that in FIFA?
Absolutely.
And I think there is, for the first time in years, a genuine reason for buying both FIFA and PES.
Do you care about Alex? Do you really root for him?
So when I was playing it in the office out loud, I was kind of like, this is ridiculous.
Little tears in the eyes.
But when I put my headphones on and got more into it, and it is like...
This is for you, Granddad.
So you sign to whichever football club you want to sign to. You start off like you go into the training ground. I'm an Arsenal fan, and like, you know, Arsene Wenger kind of nods to you as you walk in, and it's like, oh, that's cool, because it's Arsene Wenger. But then when you get your first break, you come on as a sub, like 70 minutes into a game, and you've got the opportunity to turn that game around. Yeah. And you really want that to happen. And everything, obviously, you know, if you cock it up, then the response you get from your manager and stuff is muted. But if you do well, then you're celebrated, and it encourages you to do really well. Again, I wasn't that great at it, so I didn't do that well at it.
I was going to say, so what if you just don't win any of the games?
Yeah, but the good thing about FIFA is that you can basically set it at any kind of skill level.
Right.
You know, it's got dad pads, so it's got like one button mode that basically does everything.
Right.
If you don't play football games.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a bit like Uncharted in that respect, that, you know, you're there for the kind of experience rather than to get stuck on a boss or whatever it might be.
It's interesting though, because I can't remember which racing game it was. I think it might have been Project Cars, but I could be wrong. But recently we've been seeing in kind of sports games a focus on not just what you do on the field or the pitch, or in racing games on the track, kind of what it means just to be a sportsman or woman. So in this racing game, I think it's Project Cars, you spend part of it behind a desk, and you've got to like manage, which sounds mental, sounds really boring.
There's none of that, thankfully. It's not behind a desk.
You got to do the MOTs of all the other drivers. So like, no, actually the windscreen's a bit crooked.
Got to check your voicemail, go through. But like,
drop the kids off at school and then go drifting in Tokyo.
Exactly. Go to Sainsbury's, grab your like dinner for that night, get the protein in. No, but I mean, it's, you know, not loads, but enough to make it go, you know, being a sports player on any field, whether you're a footballer or a racing car driver, I imagine there's a lot to manage with your management, with your like social media, like it's all kind of spiraled out. And I like the fact that games are starting to, like, I guess, address that. It's kind of, if you've ever played Sims or like,
that's what I was just thinking, like, how far will it get until it's basically just like a simulation of a sports person? So it's like half of it is the game, and then it's like, like you got caught with a prostitute in a hotel room, like deduct like 20 fame points, and you're like,
that happens in this game.
No. Well, you don't know what Alex gets up to, or his grandfather.
You know, you might find him gonoring. Was it gonoring?
Goroning.
Oh,
in the park,
Goroning behind a bush.
But what's good about it is that you actually give a shit about him.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't want to spoil it, because obviously it's a pretty straightforward story, and I can't imagine you're going to play it more than once. But some stuff happens with his family, and you kind of start rooting for him. You can see why he's driven to kind of succeed. And that, you know, I would never have expected that out of a game like FIFA.
I think,
so,
like,
fair play.
Yeah, a really good part of this is, like, think of all the young people who are going to be buying this game, and like that is their dream, to play football and go up the ranks and to play in the professional league, to get the chance to do that in the FIFA game. Like, that's awesome. That's a really, really good idea. Like, they're tapping into their target audience really well.
And from what I've seen, like, obviously if you become successful, then you get the swanky apartment and all this kind of stuff.
That's so satisfying.
But I don't think it's like quite so far down there where you become like, there is like, obviously there is the opposing jock who kind of, when you first start, he's the guy with the pro contract, the kind of guy that Rory would be probably. But like, he pulls up in his kind of like amazing sort of Range Rover Sport. You pull up in your granddad's crappy old banger.
In your dead granddad's old banger, yeah. He's frozen
from
in the
other world. And then he's given all that, and then you've got the choice. Like, I don't know how much this impacts it, but you can choose to sort of have a balanced response, a cool response, or a fiery response.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit Mass
very
Effect in
Bioware.
that sort of.
That's cool. I wonder like how much it really splits.
Probably not. Probably not. But it's a nice little. Again, it's making it less linear, giving a sense of player choice and kind of that we've not really seen in sports games.
And then you get complete control over how you develop your player. So you can start off as a striker, midfielder, winger, etc. You can't play as a goalkeeper because that'd be really boring.
Yeah.
Just standing
actually,
there.
there'd be a lot of standing.
But you can choose which areas you want to develop him. You can choose everything from the team you play to the sponsors that you go for. So, if you want a particular boot sponsor, you can get that.
That's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Can you trade teams? Can you shift, or kind of when you pick your team, are you kind of locked into it?
Oh, I haven't played it. So
I
didn't review it.
I've
only been playing it kind of a little bit for video capture. So I haven't played as much as the reviewer. So I don't know. Because also EA understandably wants to keep a lot of the story under wraps.
Right.
Because,
yeah, totally.
I know something happens halfway through that kind of makes him question life.
We gave it a really, really high score. It got an 8.4. So it's been...
Although everybody is it's not like we gave PES a 9.5 because PES is a better football game in my opinion. But just for this mode, I think you should buy it. If you like FIFA, you're going to like it anyway. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't like FIFA, I think it's a really clever thing to be doing. And I'd like to see more of it. I don't know how they're going to do it next year. Because there's only so many times you can tell the rags to riches story. Unless you do it the opposite way around. Just dive bombing into the gutter
That's
in Sunday
where the
League.
prostitute scandal comes in.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe that's DLC. And then also this week, I've been playing a lot of Forza.
Oh, and you said Forza.
I know, that's because that's the correct way to spell it.
Yes.
I saw your response to one of our lovely commenters.
Was he trying to say that it's Forza?
Oh, yes, no, he said that he wanted to say that it was Forza and that I was wrong in saying Forza. But I found an interview from 2004 where the creator explained why the pronunciation is Forza. Because it's in Italian, it is spelled Forza, but you wouldn't say pizza, you'd say pizza. It's for that same reason that you say Forza.
I normally have a pizza.
Yeah, you don't have pizza? I love pizza. Pepperoni pizza? It's so good.
But no, I've been playing a little bit of Forza, not quite as much, I think, as you've dug into.
That's only because we've been doing the challenges, and I'm like, I need to win these challenges.
You're so competitive.
No,
it's
I'm
amazing.
Not. But do you know what it is? I don't often get the chance to play that many games. And I must admit, I'm getting a little bit bored of OverWatch.
What?
I know.
What?
And I know we're not allowed to say the yo word on this podcast anymore. But I of course I still enjoy playing it, but it doesn't I used to play it every night as well as lunchtime, but I haven't played it at home for a long time now.
Dead.
I still play it at home.
To be fair, I only play it in the office really with you guys because that's what makes it fun for me. It's playing when it's all six of us, especially. It's the entire team is us.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Oh, that game.
Anyway, we're not talking about that game.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry. Oh God, sidetracked.
Exactly.
This is what I'm going to counseling for. Calm down. Do your breathing exercises.
So, in the same way as I like my my football games dumb and simple. I like my racing games dumb and simple.
I totally agree.
Forza ticks that box very nicely.
Yeah.
Motorsport was always a bit too kind of serious.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo is way too dry for me.
Yeah.
But it gives you the right kind of level of progression. You get a decent number of cars at the right kind of pace. Cool stuff to be doing, in all the stunts and the challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can get a £2 million supercar and wrap it around a tree and then still continue driving. In it, which I want that. I don't want to have to go and spend the same amount buying the car again. It's good fun.
Absolutely. We've seen a trend recently for kind of putting realism in racing games where you can go in, and Project Cars is one where you can tweak every aspect of the tyre pressure and so on. And you can do that in this game. It
does make a difference as well.
It does make a massive difference. I opened it up when I was playing it at my desk, and Joe just turned around and was like, Alicia, just stop what you're doing. Just don't.
I wouldn't say it makes a massive difference.
Well,
because I took a road car onto off-road, and I reduced the PSI on the tyres so it had more grip. But it was 0.1 out of a 10-point scale, and I noticed no difference.
Yeah, but she's got a lightning bolt sprayed on the side, and that's for speed.
Exactly.
That's another 5 miles per hour.
I really like, though, the thing that I love about this game is the fact that it's massively open world, and yet they do have that sense of simplicity in the sense that you've got this kind of AI personal assistant called Anne.
Anna.
Anna, is it Anna?
It's automated navigational something assistant.
I didn't know that it was an acronym.
Oh, I was just like, oh, that's so cheap. Anyway.
So cheap, but so useful. Because if you're driving along and you're like, oh, this is really open world, where do I go next? Rather than even having to open your map and look for the next thing and then like put the marker to go for it, you just select right on the directional pad and there's like 4 questions, like I need more followers, what's near me, something else and something else. And then she just automatically finds something for you and like navigates to it, which is
I think this says a lot about our personalities that you do that. Whereas I'm so stubborn, I'm like, I'm going to phone my own fun. And I will literally scour the map looking for something to do. And I've not used her once.
Have you not? Oh, I think I just find her such a gimmick.
But that's like,
that's interesting.
I've got sat-nav on my car and I never use that. It's like, I know how to get there, thanks. As I'm
you got
lost.
the maps open like across the dashboard.
I think it's a kind of, it's a bloke thing.
It's like never ask for directions.
I'm not going to be told where to go.
I will. So I have a GPS. Well, I had one in my old car as well, and I was doing
I can't imagine you driving.
Why? I'm a great driver. It's because you play too much GTA with me, and you see me going up the hills like 100 miles per hour.
I would never put you in control of something.
I'm a very safe driver.
I don't believe that.
I think you'd be a safe driver.
I'm good.
I do, but I'm loving the
Let's go for a drive sometime, Alex.
No.
I mean, on a Sunday through the park.
You want to go goring in with me? Is that what you're asking?
But my sat nav, it had a whole selection of languages you could change to.
Right.
And one of them, weirdly enough, was Irish, but not the Irish language, just an Irish accent. So it was like, okay, let's change it to Seamus. So we changed it to Seamus. Right. And then we never knew how to change it out of it.
Lucky Charms.
So he's like, roundabout's coming up, take the 3rd right and go left for like 100 miles. And we're like, I don't know, please change it. But it's been Seamus ever since because I don't know how to change it back
That's
anymore.
amazing.
On my sat-nav, I've changed the car for an X-Wing, which is my favourite.
You can do that?
Yeah,
That's
really cool.
That's awesome. Then do you get like...
no, it hasn't got Darth Vader or anything. Turn left.
It's a trap! Yeah. That would be amazing. There's a market for that. Well, I'm the kind of same, like comparing FIFA and Forza. I don't really care about cars. I don't really care about football. But it's those extra parts of the game, like the stories and the narratives, that really are what draw me into it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. At the jump challenge we did, didn't you?
I got scammed in the jump challenge because everyone was trying to do jumps, and then I forget who it was, like Joe or someone.
Challenge.
Joe or someone was like, "All right, we need to like spike it up, do something crazy, Rory, like go up to the hills." And I was like, "Well, all right, I'm not gonna get very far." Yeah. So then it was just like I hit a speed bump, and it was just like, "Woof!"
So it's Joe's fault.
It's Joe's fault.
You think you got crucified on that one? Someone said, "Oh, do it backwards, Alicia." I don't know what it was with our group. We were all.
Why did you do it? Why did you not just say no?
Because the 3 of us.
For the sake of the audience, it would be more interesting.
The 3 of us were doing like crazy jump runs, and then I see your footage. It's the 3 of you all doing these like super serious like runs. Yeah.
Yes. Why not?
Ridiculous. Scammed.
Like the only thing that I guess I find a little bit disappointing is if you look at the map, obviously it's a super condensed version of a little bit of Australia, and you've got a couple of really tall mountains in there. There are kind of rock formations, so you can't go up them. It's not like GTA where you can drive up Mount.
You lost me then. I'm out.
Crazy. Yeah. Which I guess is a racing game. It's not GTA. But I was a bit like, well, I want to drive up that. Yeah, big. It's not. Like, why put it there if I can't go up
quite as open world as some open world games. But it's okay. Like I really enjoy an open world aspect. Like I think it was SSX3 was the first racing game I played where there was a sense of you could race from the top peak of the mountain all the way down through all the different kind of like racing arenas. And I loved that. There was like a kind of thing of exploration, and there was the collectible aspect, and suddenly you could just sink hours into a game. And the radio stations really add to that when you can like switch through SSX. And you just like SSX was brilliant in that. It had like Jerk It Out by the Caesars, and there's some really good like tunes as well on the new Forza.
When are we gonna get another really good snowboarding game?
What don't you think? Steep from Ubisoft? I've
heard Joe tell me things about it that don't sound too promising. I'm willing to give it a shot, but I don't know whether it's going to be exactly what I want.
Like, it depends when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, if it has the work put into it that it deserves, then it could be good.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I also like the wackiness of like the SSX games.
Sure.
And I'm not sure like Steep has that. It seems like reasonably realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Although the what do you call it? The wingsuit stuff.
Oh yeah, okay, that looks awesome. Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah. But again, it's trying to be many different games then. It's not just a snowboarding sim.
Yes.
It's snowboarding.
Is that going to have a story like your dead aunt was a professional snowboarder in the 60s and then you've taken up her mantle and her snowboard? And
what is it with you and like dead
relatives
and stuff like that?
I get asked that all the time. That's so weird. Everyone's always asking me, why always talk about dead people? It's weird.
Why are you?
Yeah. Who knows? Who
Oh
knows?
my gosh.
Well,
You're the
hopefully
boy
you do.
from Sixth Sense.
Like, if you don't know, then nobody knows. Am I dead? Is that what
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it, yeah.
You're just going to turn
This is
around.
Purgatory, an IGN UK
No wonder
podcast.
nobody listens to me. Actually, speaking of the dead, what an amazing segue.
Yes.
Well done.
See, that's why I was
is why
doing
you're
it.
here.
Speaking of the dead, Alicia,
Yes, Alex.
do you want to speak of the dead?
Well,
Don't speak ill of them.
I won't speak ill of them, but I will say that we fear The Walking Dead because Fear the Walking Dead is it at the end of the season yet?
Coming up to it.
It's coming up to the end.
I just finished episode 12.
So you're
this
way ahead of
week's-
me. I've literally just finished the
tell
mid-season
you what
finale. I don't mind
Yeah,
it
do it on the
being
podcast.
slightly spoiled because actually
Which one was the mid-season finale?
mid-season finale. Okay, so spoilers for podcast listeners. If you don't want to know anything
Don't listen
about
for the
Fear
next
the Walking
15
Dead,
seconds.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Well, or more just for this next.
Well, no, but just
section
a
we might
quick
talk
go.
about, but-
Go
okay.
quickly, go.
Okay, so Fear the Walking Dead.
want to know
They've
what the
just
mid-season's
they've
10
just-
seconds, 10
they-
seconds, Alicia.
They're going
they've
to tune
just
back in.
exited
Quickly,
the
quickly, they're coming back in.
They've just exited the Mexican bit.
15 seconds, that's it. It's done. It's done. We
Okay.
miss it. I'm
Oh,
joking.
okay, that was
No, no,
right.
no, and it's on fire.
Yeah.
Great.
Right. Okay,
God, that
okay,
was
okay,
so
okay.
stressful. My heart.
I
My
didn't know
mind
that-
went
I
blank.
didn't know that you were going to start like just going off on random. I thought you were just going to tell me.
I love that those people are going to be like, all right, 15 seconds, click in. Everyone's just going, it's in their minds.
Okay.
But yeah, so Fear the Walking Dead is obviously the spin-off to the massive show The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And it's meant to be, I thought when they first announced it, it was going to be a bit like World War Z, which is an amazing book that goes around, not the Brad Pitt movie, but in,
No,
in
it's
the,
not such a good movie.
not exactly. It doesn't really go through the flavour of the actual book, which takes so many different stories from around the world during an apocalypse. Everything from a family kind of retreating to the frozen wilderness of Canada to the Queen of England, like opening up her palace. It's like so many different disparate stories. And I thought that's what they were going for
Yeah.
Fear the Walking Dead, where the Walking Dead is like the main survivor group. And then
This is kind of telling. Yeah, it's
didn't
gone
do-
very
they didn't
quickly
do that
into
with Fear the Walking Dead.
A Walking Dead.
yeah.
So it's just like another group?
It's just
pretty much?
another
Yeah.
group, but they don't really seem to know what they want to do with this group. So they spent the
Okay.
first series and the first half of the series building up this sense of family. So you've got this kind of two kind of families that are united through kind of remarriage, and they're working their way through the apocalypse. And there's a lot of how they want to stick together, massive family values, you know, in the face of this terrible atrocity. And then suddenly, in the mid-season finale, the groups all splinter.
Yeah.
And they don't really seem to care about finding each other again.
Well,
and it
so
goes a
that
bit-
obviously a lot happens further on.
Okay.
And I'm not going to talk about that
Right.
for spoiling it for you or anybody else. But it does. So I agree. Like the beginning of the season was so slow.
Oh my god. They're on a yacht and they just don't leave the yacht.
It just goes
Well,
on.
to be fair, that's a
forever.
pretty good plan, right?
Yes,
Probably should have
yeah.
stayed on the yacht.
Yeah, but don't make a TV show about it. But then
This is nice, get some sun. Fishing.
they've started exploring some interesting stuff. So, and I think they touched on it there, that the dead aren't actually dead, and that they're in a different plane or whatever it might be. This the kind of
Which I
Mexican,
thought was just madness. Do they go into that more interestingly then?
So some of the stuff comes out.
Okay.
Again, I can't remember exactly what's happened at your point, but like,
Right.
yeah. So explores that a bit more. It doesn't explore it as much as I think they should. But like you see, and there's a lot more flashback stuff, sort of giving you backstories about kind of why this person is feeling this way. It's still too slow, in my opinion.
I'm glad they're doing flashbacks though, because my main issue with Fear the Walking Dead is that I don't give a toss about any of the characters.
That's a
really
pretty
don't
big
care
issue
for
to have
them.
with a TV show.
Massively, especially one about survivors, you know, and like I think with The Walking Dead, every single decision that a character made sense to me. So even from the beginning when we didn't know the characters that well, Rick, you knew he wanted to go to his family. He'd just waking up from a coma. It made sense that he was going through. Shane, he had a massive crush on Laurie.
Yeah.
It made sense how he reacted the way he did. You know, every character you immediately understood and their actions made sense. Whereas in Fear the Walking Dead, the way that it feels like the script writers haven't really had a clear sense of what they want their characters' motivations to be. So very quickly, the son, Travis's son, I think he's called Chris, he goes from being a rebellious teen in the first few episodes to suddenly utter knife-wielding maniac on a girl that he fancied in the first series, like halfway through the second series, And bear in mind, the first series was only like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 7 or 8 episodes in, he's gone full on nutter, and it makes no sense.
You think it's just like for the sake of having a twist or a surprise, or?
But like again, they explore more of that. But part of the problem that happens in the tail end of the series is because they have got this splinter that you don't really spend enough time with any of the groups to actually figure out, why has that happened? Like, one of the splits with involving that kid.
Yeah.
I was just like, you'd never do that. I would never do that.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because I feel like actually they're almost onto something, because what they're trying to do, I think especially with Chris, they're trying to, all the characters that we're seeing in The Walking Dead, so at the moment things have gotten really dark, we're seeing what humanity can do at its absolute worst. We've got Negan who's like, and how do you create a Negan? And I think what they're trying to do with Chris is try and look at the roots of a bad guy and how a bad guy becomes bad, and how it's actually our choices that make us who we are. And you can often start out as a fairly good character, but they're not exploring that enough. He's too binary, he's too black and white. They're trying to make the shift too quickly.
I don't think he's the right actor to do it either. No. I think the other kid who was the junkie, I forget his name.
Nick.
He's far more engaging to watch.
He's really likeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think they've gone the opposite with him, because he was a dick in the first season and he actually becomes likeable in the second one. And more so as it goes on. But I like watching him. I like watching like Victor Strand and but like all the other characters, I honestly don't care if you get eaten alive. Yeah. And the other thing that I find amazing is we saw it a bit in Walking Dead with smearing themselves in blood and guts to walk through them. They all do it now, and all the time they're just walking through the dead. And it's like,
so overused as a trope.
Oh, right. So it's like
smother yourself. But also, it started off by being caked in blood. Yeah. And then it got to a point
just lines on the just touching up a little bit.
We're all right. Come on, let's just walk through these bad guys.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's zombie blood.
But
little intestine scarf.
There is a bit where they're like, you walk with the dead. It's like, yeah, I've just got some shit on my face.
But which is so ridiculous, because you see in The Walking Dead how dangerous that is. In the first or the second episode, Glenn and Rick do it, and it rains, and all the zombie blood washes, and then they're screwed. Yeah. And then in that horrible episode, I'm not actually going to spoil it, but there's a bit where they are walking through, and 4 or 5 characters are killed because the zombies realise who they are. Like, it's really shown to be a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, it's established to be an impractical.
It's way
whereas
too
they
easy
just,
in this.
it seems like a get out of free card in Fear the Walking Dead.
And it happens all the time now, and I'm like, oh, come on. It's like where's the tension gone? It's just like, otherwise, everything is just like, all right, let's get out of this by walking past them.
Because that is like, when you're watching The Walking Dead, it does a really good job of really drawing you into the stories and the families, but also at any time, someone could just turn a corner and there's a zombie and they're dead, they're gone. It's like you always have to feel like at any point, everything could go south. And I guess if you have characters that can just put on a bit of blood and like
also, like when someone dies in The Walking Dead, you feel like you've been invested in that character, so it means something. It doesn't here, really.
Which is, it's just so ironic, because this is called Fear the Walking Dead, and they're not fearful at all. They're just these walking props, and they're actually trying to humanize them a little bit, like you were saying earlier, and doing the. But it's a very strange.
I thought that was
show.
Interesting, like especially like from different religions and different cultures and stuff like that. I thought that's quite an interesting. But
the zombies?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Is that they're not actually dead? They're just in this kind of like, I don't know, state of subconsciousness or whatever.
Okay.
So that's one.
Sleeping.
That's like a character and one kind of culturally town. That's their view of it.
Okay.
Which I think is like, that's quite interesting.
It's a more interesting approach than just be like, oh yeah, they got the virus, so they're gone. Yeah. So wait, this can't then technically exist in the same world as The Walking Dead?
It can, because it's the same thing. It's exactly like what they're trying to do with this. Again, the World War Z comparison of different characters' approaches. In the same way that we see it slightly in The Walking Dead, in that some people call them walkers, some people call them biters, some of them call them roamers. There's like just the nomenclature, it's different. But here in Fear the Walking Dead, it's not just the names, it's the actual attitudes and what they are, that people see the zombies as different things. Gotcha. And so we're discovering that as we go around. Yeah. But I just think it's very clumsily done.
Yeah.
So is this thumbs down from both of you then, or
it's kind of one of those things that, and I think we both said it, is that I watch it, but I tend to watch it with one eye on something else as well.
Right.
It's kind of just happening. Yeah. Okay. Whereas like I'm still watching Narcos season 2, and when I watch that, I'm like, Well, partly because I have to read the
subtitles.
And if I miss that, I have no idea what the hell's going on. But, like, that's essential viewing, whereas this is kind of like, it's just there and it ticks over. And often I'm there and I'm like going, oh my God, that was a really long episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's redemption maybe on the horizon, a chance for a payoff?
Well, I must be coming up close to the finale, and I don't know where it's going to end. But like equally, I'm not that bothered.
Okay.
But I can't wait for the next season of Walking Dead.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely cannot wait. So excited for that.
So I have no idea how to segue these two together. These are such different
What is
things.
that on your wrist?
What is this? Oh, God, I'm so glad you mentioned it, Alex. This happens to be the Pokemon Go Plus, which I have officially been wearing on my wrist for about a week now.
You've bought some like cheap thing from Claire's Accessories.
The actual like wristband bit is terrible. It looks so tacky. Could they not have done something more like a little Pikachu or something? It just looks like a terrible
You've
navy
actually
band.
been wearing it for a week.
I've been wearing it for a week. I have taken it off to shower.
No, I wasn't insinuating that. I just think that's brave to wear that for a week.
Yeah, I have. I've had people point it out and got a lot of stares, but it's been an experiment that I've been wanting to stick through.
In a good way, or
to just see how it affects like how I approach the game and if it draws me more into the game and that sort of thing.
And
so here is my dramatic conclusion. It has little effect at all. There you go. What do you think about that?
You heard it here first, folks.
So basically,
is that the end of this discussion?
Well, if you don't know a lot about the Pokemon Go Plus, it's basically a little device shaped like a Pokeball met with a like Google Maps pin.
Yeah.
And basically it links up with your app, and whenever you're near a Pokemon or a Poke Center, it'll light up and flash.
Pokestop.
And what?
Pokestop.
What did I say?
Poke Center.
Oh yeah, Poke Center, Pokestop. I'll be crucified on this podcast.
Good.
Yeah. Basically, I thought it was going to get me a bit more into the game, thinking that it would go off and then I'd like take out my phone and I could see what Pokemon it was and whether I wanted to catch it.
Sorry, what happens when it goes off? It vibrates.
It vibrates and it lights up. So it lights up green if it's a Pokemon and blue if it's a Pokestop.
Right.
And as I said, like I thought that it would go off and then I get excited, get my phone out, and it's a way to kind of like keep alert if there's things in the game. I didn't realize
do it all on.
Well, that's it. I didn't realize that if you just push the button, you will do whatever the action required is. So you'll either throw a Pokeball or retrieve the items from the Pokestop.
Do you automatically capture?
No. So it is a risk. And if you push the button, you don't have a choice of whether you want to give it a berry or use a great ball. It's always just a basic Pokeball.
Right.
So you kind of run that risk. And
Surely
then
you should be able to set it up so it kind of.
Well, I think the incentive is that if you want to go for higher Pokemon or give yourself a better chance, you still need to go to the app. Like they don't want to take it. They didn't create this, so you'll never have to use the app.
Right.
It's basically just to facilitate it. Although that's basically what's happened because I've been playing Pokemon Go, but just pushing this button, and it's got to the point where it's like I don't even know what it is sometimes. I'll feel it vibrate and I'll just push the button, and it's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway. So it's like I've either caught it or I haven't.
Yeah.
Because the whole selling point of Pokemon Go to begin with was what they were doing with augmented reality.
Yeah,
it was the fact that you could walk the streets and see a Pidgey or a whatnot on outside your office.
But it's like the fact that within the first day, everyone had turned off AR and they were just using it in the default background.
That was the battery
That was to do
problem.
with battery power, I think, more
Was
than...
it though? Because a
Well,
lot
it was for
of
me.
people play it on the go while they're walking, and it's like
you do look ridiculous.
because it started at the start. Like everyone would be like, "Wait, stop! Everyone stop! There's a Pidgey," and we'd all stop and like catch it. And now it's like there's a Pidgey, and you just hit the battle, and you can keep walking and throwing your Pokeballs.
Yeah,
it's not so much stop anymore.
for the sake of kind of maneuverability, definitely like the bracelet massively makes sense because you can just be like just like hitting the button the whole time.
I love the fact it's a bracelet as well.
It's not a bracelet.
What is it then? It's totally a bracelet.
It is a bracelet.
It's professional Pokemon training equipment given to me by Professor Oak in Palatown with my mission to catch all 151 Pokemon.
And that's the thing. All these people in the street just going, "Nice bracelet."
Yeah, I'm like, hey, nice Pokemon bracelet. Yeah, did you get that at Claire's?
How old are you?
Anyway, I think it's a great addition to the game.
What I really want to know though is when you've got the bracelet, watch, very professional equipment.
Pokemon capture equipment, yes.
Pokemon capture equipment slapped to your wrist.
The PCE.
Can you like unlock or hatch eggs as you're walking? Does it like have a pedometer in it that
Now, as far as I
steps?
know, it doesn't. Like, I think there was someone claiming that it did help, like track your motion. But as far as I know, it's just maybe they've more accurately tuned. But I mean, like you have to have the app running on your phone, so you can have. You're still getting. Yeah, you're still like moving and like hatching.
Because I wondered whether it might help because like the hatching mechanic in the app was so inaccurate. I remember I had it open while I was running, and my run had said that I'd run 7K, but then I'd only like gone, I think it was like 2.5 in the.
Well, they're very careful with. I think if you're moving above certain speeds, it'll register it as car travel.
Yeah,
like a bolt.
Yeah, Usain Bolt.
Because I had the same
it was the
on
opposite. I was going too slow
on my scooter and on the train.
Yeah,
because I just thought easy.
You pick them all up and then you don't get anything. Well, they kind of had, I think it was for Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where they had the other little Pokeball. Do you remember this? That you got it free with the game, and it was very similar to this. It was basically like, it was like a Pokeball, but it had like a screen on it, and you could transfer a Pokemon from your game into this little Pokeball, and it was essentially a pedometer. And as you walked, it would like pick up steps and upgrade him, and you could get more items like just from walking around with the Pokemon in the Pokeball, and then you could transfer it back via Bluetooth to your DS card.
Right.
Which again is a really cool idea, and Pokemon has always been kind of doing that, finding ways of trying to bring it more into the real world. I just don't know if this is the best way.
I'd also, like, I think I've said this before, like the fact that you have to have the app on for it to register you're walking, and it can't just use the info from like the health thing on iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, it still drains your battery as well.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And again, as I said, like we were going out after work last night, we were walking down the street and it was going crazy. So I was having a conversation, like pressing the button every time I felt it vibrate. We got to the venue and I got out my phone. So when whatever it is you push the button for, you'll get a push notification on your phone as to what it was, because it can be a bit confusing, just lights and vibrations all the time. But I didn't realize that before we even started walking, like my bag was full. So I had a notification just being like, you can't have any more items. You can't have any more items. You can't have any more. It's like, I have like 200 Pokeballs now. I don't need any more, but it's still, it's almost like a hindrance now. I'll be doing something and I'll feel it vibrate. And it's like, oh God, just like, yeah, get the Pokemon, whatever, do it.
I've got a solution.
What? Take it off?
Take it off, yeah.
Yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you, Gary Oak? It's not going to happen.
Gary Oak. But
I don't know what that means.
it means you're
Enemy.
the bad guy.
You're the bad guy.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
He's called Gary Oak.
Gary Oak. Well, you can in the games you can give him whatever name you want. So you can call him like Poop Face,
Gary.
Smelly. Smelly was a good one.
Yeah. If you had Pokemon Red, you could call him Blue.
Did you know? I think it was last year that no new baby was registered with the name Gary in the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what? That doesn't surprise me.
Is that
kind of like,
sad though? Like,
well, it's.
I don't think I know a Gary.
I know a couple, but at the same time, I couldn't imagine looking at my newborn going, "Oh, baby Gary." That's just so weird, isn't it?
That is so true.
That is true, yeah. Oh, little Gary. Can I hold Gary? That is a bit weird, isn't it?
Apologies to all Garys that listen to
Oh,
this.
God, yeah.
I'm just telling a stat.
If anything, it's cool. They're like endangered species now.
They are.
That's cool.
It's fine. And when they become middle-aged, they evolve into Big Gary, and Big Gary is great. Big Gary is like,
he's reliable.
I
want
would
to
say
go for a fight with Big Gary.
Starts as a Gaz. That's probably the less
Yes.
evolved one.
Gaz.
And then it becomes Garanatron.
Oh no, we're going back to Goranim that you're talking about.
Back to Goranim.
That's the fully evolved one.
So I would say if you're interested in picking up the Pokemon Go Plus,
Buy yours.
If you're still using Pokemon Go, it definitely helps you get even more Pokemon on a daily basis. But
still,
it's
if you're trying to get all 150,
yeah,
which presumably is the point of this,
yeah.
For the rare stuff, you still got to look at your phone and work at it.
Yeah, you can only capture using the device Pokemon you've already caught, can't you? So
I think they may have updated, so you can actually catch.
They're
going to add like a new color to the thing, and maybe it's like yellow. I think if you haven't caught it before. I will say in this week I have caught 3 times as many Pokemon as I was when I was just regularly playing the game.
Your productivity is spiked.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what?
Well, so you can sell them off and get points to
Rare
then
candy.
evolve Pokemon, get higher CP to take gyms.
Why
to
are
get
you
coins.
not as good
it's
at
a vicious
this game
cycle
as Andrew Goldfarb?
He's crazy good at it.
Didn't he fall off a cliff? He did something. He did something.
Yeah,
he died.
mental.
Bless his soul. Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
He's slinging Pokeballs in heaven now.
I definitely saw a tweet from Goldfarb saying that he seriously injured himself playing Pokemon Go when it first came out.
I believe he's got all of them.
I think he does because
all of the ones that he can get in the territories that he's been to.
Yeah, because he just caught Mr. Mime when he was in Europe, like in the airport, about to fly back, and he finally got it, like right before they boarded the flight. Yeah, that's crazy. That is insane. I'm happy just being someone who's quite experienced.
Fancy bracelets.
He doesn't. No. Well, actually, we don't know. He's probably rocking like 5 of them, just like up and down. Yeah, like a rapper, like watches all up to sleep.
One question though.
Yes.
I think crucially, how much does it cost?
How much does it cost? I believe it is $34.99 Great British pounds.
That's a lot.
It's quite pricey. I think in America it's whatever way, it's like that much dollars as well.
Brilliant.
So.
Thanks. We don't live in America.
No, but well, some of our listeners do. Alex.
This
is a worldwide podcast. This goes out to everyone. All the Americans love our FIFA talk about Alex's dead granddad and driving the car.
My granddad is dead. Thanks very much.
Oh,
don't
that's a bit of a downer.
Ill of my
How are you going to segue this one?
I don't know. I was gonna apologise to Gary's once again, and then I was also gonna say if anyone else has got a Pokemon Go Plus, they should let us know what they think of it.
Yeah, definitely let us know.
How do they get in contact, Rory?
They can write us in at the email address, which is IGN. God damn it.
No, IGN, it's not that.
IGN, I haven't done this in a while. IGN _ UK feedback at IGN.com. Is
Very
that right?
good.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes. Oh my God. My heart is
remember
racing. You had the pink slips ready. You were like, he's getting fired if he doesn't know this.
Well, I love the fact that we could change it to something much simpler.
I know.
Over the last 5 years, we've just chosen not to.
We just haven't.
Anyway, who's got the first piece of feedback?
Number 1, it is me. I had the first piece of feedback.
Seamless.
This is called Lazy Fitness,
okay.
my autobiography. This is from Tim Stone. Tim says, "Hi, Random Threesome. I have a PS4 for my gaming addictions, but since I've suffered from a bad back over the years, I still use my PS3 now and again for Ubisoft's My Fitness Coach Club, which has some good fitness video-style workouts that save me going down to the gym or paying the price of a new game to go to physio. However, there doesn't seem to be any sort of fitness games out for the PS4. I remember there being various ones out for the PS3 and the Nintendo Wii obviously had the Wii Fit. I'm surprised nothing has been on the market for the new console. Is there anything in the pipeline?"
I thought Ubisoft had that Nike tie-in, or was that on?
No, he didn't mention that one. Nike time?
No, Nike tie-in.
Oh,
it's Nike time.
Nike time. Yeah, go buy some shoes. Now buy some.
Because I
tracksuits.
remember being at an E3. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where they got like overweight and really unhealthy games journalists up on stage
Oh,
to do
no.
it, and it was just like, oh my God. They were like, "Do you want to have a go?" And I'm like, "No, I'm all right, thanks."
What did they make them do?
It was kind of like squat thrusts and all that kind of stuff. Like
Squat, thrust, and
don't wanna be
overweight
doing
games journalists
I
should
know.
not be said in the same
especially
sentence.
like when you've got like all these kind of like stacked dudes there going like, "Yeah, this is how you do it," and it's like,
Get up here, nerds. They're like poking them with
Exactly.
sticks and be like,
again,
yeah,
it's
work
something
harder.
I can imagine you doing.
Well, if the job's there, you're fine.
I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure it came out, but maybe that was Xbox exclusive. Maybe.
I'm just gonna say it's Nike time.
Well, they had Kinect, so I think you maybe
Oh, it must have
tied in
been,
with
yeah.
Kinect, so it's
Yeah, I
probably
swear there was
Xbox
fitness
exclusive.
stuff with the Kinect.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
But I think he's asking for PS4.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
I
really
remember
help.
when I was back long ago when I was a fat chubby little boy.
Were you?
Oh yeah, big time. I didn't really get into the fitness games, but I used to use the dance mat for the PlayStation 2. You know, the ones you could plug in and you roll it out.
Yeah.
And then they had a calorie counter like at the
Yeah.
bottom of the one after your songs. It's like that was the saving grace of Fat Rory. Just imagine Fat
I
Rory
really
with
wanna
his,
see a
like,
picture of Fat
his emo
Rory.
hair, like big puffy red face, like dancing on this mat.
Is there any-
Of course there's no video.
That would make
Of
the
course.
best GIF. Why is that not a
You're
GIF?
thinking of me like spinning on my head, pushing the buttons like breakdancing.
That is exactly the kind of thing I would pay to see.
Oh God, no, it's done. All the footage has been erased and burned, along with the mat.
So what made you change? What made you evolve from Fat Rory to current Rory?
Dance mat. That's why I'm such a fantastic dancer, Alex.
I've never seen you dance.
You have seen me dance. I danced for a cornetto once in the old office.
That's for a cornet.
That's a long story. I got 2 cornettos actually.
That's amazing.
So aside from
before
our
we had HR.
yeah.
Dance, Ronnie, dance.
So aside from our
You get
fictional game Nike Time, I'm not necessarily sure that there's a lot of fitness games. Maybe just the industry's moved on. Like
yeah,
it was a big when the Wii came out. Obviously, it was
The
huge,
Wii Fit
yeah,
was like
also
massive.
a huge
So
thing.
what's the Ubisoft dancing game, Just Dance.
Just Dance.
Just Dance.
That's out there.
Yeah.
That is really good fun, although it does video you as you do it. So, yeah. If there's the equivalent Fat Rory teenager now out there in the world, there will be loads of videos of them.
Do it, young Rory. Burn those calories. Become the pop star you're meant to be.
If anybody listening to this podcast knows Rory or knew Rory when he was a fat kid and has pictures, send them in to me. Please.
Brilliant. All right, moving on. Who's got 2?
Oh, I've got 2. This is from Martin Crook, who says, in reference to a feedback question last week, what makes an old game not date and become a quaint, antiquated museum piece?
Why are you reading it like that?
Yeah.
Am I reading it weirdly?
You're making him sound like a nerd.
Well...
You sound like you're the tube lady.
What are the criteria? Is it impossible to objectively define? That's his question.
Sorry, I was so focused on your voice, I didn't actually listen.
What makes a game replayable for a long time and become like
and not become a quaint, antiquated museum piece? That's really hard to say.
Yeah, that's like a tongue
quaint,
twister.
antiquated museum.
So we were talking about this last week, and I never ever go back and play the same game.
You've never. So what's the game you played the most? I was going to say.
So the only example really of that is Ocarina of Time.
That's a great example.
But that was because it switched, and also GTAs, and it's often a platform switch. So for Ocarina, it was when it came out on 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then on GTAs, it's when it came out on PSP and stuff like that. Because it's like, I'm not going to sit down and replay those games again, but being able to play them on the go, which is where I do a lot of my gaming now, that was the thing that changed it.
Yeah.
And it made me appreciate those games for what they were. Or in some instances, like playing GTA on iPad. Oh my God.
No,
the controls are so hard.
Anything touch screen or like a virtual joystick on touch screen is just awful because you need that touch feedback. You need to feel the joystick movement.
Yeah.
On a touch screen, you can't feel it, so your finger just slides off.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you don't really have a game that you've gone back to like numerous times to play again? No? That's strange.
Because there are so many other games.
I guess, but like, because I play a lot of games, but I still have ones.
It's the same with, like, I don't really rewatch that many films, apart from stuff like Star Wars, and even then, not.
I guess so. What about music? Have you heard like every song once, and you're like, moving on now?
I'm like Madonna and knickers, you know, once and then I'm gone. Move on. She only wears knickers once and then throws them away. Apparently, I don't.
I think you can go back for nostalgia reasons. And I think certain things fall in and out of fashion. So we certainly see it in the indie scene that there was a period where roguelikes were massively in fashion with like, 16-bit and stuff. And it was evoking a retro old feel. That was probably like a year ago. And suddenly I found myself going back to kind of old 16-bit games and replaying them and kind of having a newfound appreciation for them.
I don't think they're ever as good as you remember them to be.
No,
and that's the problem.
They're often not, but you can there are cycles in kind of game design elements. It's a bit like, almost like fashion in that sense that you'll pull on old themes and threads that were popular.
Threads, nice.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm extending this metaphor until it breaks. You can pull back on stuff that was, in fashion 10 years ago and then bring it into the current day. But I don't know. It's really hard. I do feel like nostalgia plays a massive element in making something replayable.
Yeah. And I think that's why I enjoyed Ocarina. But Dan Kilby obviously had never played it before, so he started playing it on 3DS and absolutely hated it.
I don't trust him. I don't trust that guy.
But it's probably true. Like if you've that game is pretty obtuse at times in terms of like what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And Majora's Mask even more so.
Oh yeah, Majora's Mask is.
But when you get into it, it's an amazing game. But I can see why people are just like.
I guess that the generation shifted. There's a lot of hand holding in games recently, which those don't have.
And Kilby,
imagine
we know is rubbish at games.
Yeah, he needs his waypoints. That's what he does.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's really hard to. There's no really defining factors that you can point to that would instigate whether a game is this incredible replayable experience. I think nostalgia is a huge part of it, and that comes into the very definition of a game that's in your past.
Definitely.
I guess it's just got to be something that is fresh enough that you don't mind doing it again. So one example for me is, and I guess this kind of breaks the mold a little bit, because Portal, like that's not really a game from my childhood. I wasn't that young when I first played it. I can easily go back. I've played that game, the first one, I guess because it's quite short as well. It's really easy to replay. I've played it maybe 4 or 5 times now. And every time you go back, you've kind of forgotten the puzzles and you just really enjoy living through that experience again. Even though you know every line of dialogue and the twists and when they're going to happen, it's still a game that is just really fun to play through.
Is that also because it was such a genre definer? Like it was so, when Portal came out, there was almost nothing like it. And like, maybe it's those kind of games that become these kind of bastions and landmarks on the landscape of gaming history you go back to and still appreciate.
But it's funny that, like, so for example, like I played a lot of Portal when it came out. I'm playing a lot of Overwatch right now. In 2 years or 3-4 years, I'm never going to come back to Overwatch.
Yeah, but that's different though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like you need the same group of people to be there, and you need the buzz of other people to be playing.
Well, kind of, but like I've gone back to
experience.
the first Black Ops. Now that it's backwards compatible, I've gone back and played that before, and that's similar. That's just for the not just the multiplayer.
Yeah, that was in my head. I was literally just thinking that as you were saying that. I was like, I would so go back and play Black Ops. The Kino de Toten and some of the maps on multiplayer were amazing.
Yeah,
Black Ops.
So
I played through Modern Warfare. I played that through about 2 or 3 times.
Well, recently you've gone back?
No, not recently. But again, that's the other problem is that I don't have the consoles. They're all in the loft. Like if I could access, like with films, you can universally get them anywhere and watch them. And but like games, it's like it's on the old system.
Yeah,
I have to either rebuy it. I'm not going to do that. Or get the old system out and can't be bothered. Yeah. So, and also I have no idea what I do with all the old discs. Yeah, I'm bad enough. Like here, like if I've got something on a physical disc rather than the download, I'm like, oh my God, where is it? Because I don't know whether I've left it at home. That's why Overwatch is in my bag all of the time, just in case.
We got a question about physical downloads and things. That'll tie in nicely.
Ah, nice.
But I would rather have the download, so I've got it on both consoles.
Yeah,
which I know is first world problems.
Yeah, no.
It also scares me because I'm like, what happens if like something happens to your account and somehow you lose access to all the games? I'm so old-fashioned in that sense.
Well, do you not get that with your music?
You do sound like an old parent. What if Edward Snowden hacks my Game Boy account and I lose all my video games?
What if it's stored in the cloud? What if it rains? The games fall out.
The Russians will get my credit card info.
But like, it still keeps an account of the games you've downloaded.
I know, there's just still a part of me, I'm like, something could happen with
You're old before your time, you are.
I know.
I want the discs. Give me the discs.
Give me the discs.
I'm the same. I want the discs.
I'm obviously young for my age. Must be what it is.
Speaking of games that we love, and we're doing this at the end of the podcast, so we can't dribble on for too long. Mark Kingsland writes in asking, is it too late to get into Overwatch? I just tweeted Rory, Alicia, and Joe asking if it's too late to get into Overwatch, and Joe replied immediately saying, never. What does everyone else think? He says he enjoyed the free weekend, but is there enough to keep him going without a close group of friends like we have in the office?
Joe was so angry with this piece of feedback. It was really funny because I think the guy said, he replied immediately, clearly not doing any work.
Not doing any work.
At 10 a.m. When Joe was like, why am I being penalised for being really good on community support and replying immediately?
It's not his job description.
Yeah. You have to have a word with them after this.
Point,
Have a word. Get those pink slips ready.
It's not too late to get into Overwatch.
Although it's a very different experience playing it on your own compared to with other people.
Yeah.
Like, it can be so unsatisfying because obviously a massive part of it is, objective based. Yeah. When the people you're playing with don't go on the payload. Yeah. Or, whether you're attacking or defending, it's just like, and what I don't understand is you've got all these other emotes for stuff like, group up on me. Why isn't there form on the payload? Why isn't that one of them?
Yeah.
You need that.
Because also when someone says group up on me, somebody's like, where the hell are you on the map?
I will say, I hate it when I'm like, we need a healer. Well, you be the healer then. Yeah. Like, we need one that badly, you be it.
Where's the emote that says, we don't need an Anna? We do not need an Anna. Get the out of here, Anna. Drives me crazy. But it's funny because Overwatch is a special game in the sense of it's one of the only multiplayer games that I've played in recent years where one person can't carry a team. Yeah. So with like COD, with MOBAs like League of Legends, you can essentially, to a certain degree, have one person who's doing so well they can carry the team. Yeah. You cannot do that in Overwatch. You need if you lose a player in matchmaking and it's a 6v5, that's very difficult to come back from because that tiny off balance is so significant. Yeah. It's crazy. So that's just one of the risks that you go up against when there's when you're solo queuing.
But that falls back to the modes because there's no team deathmatch or free-for-all mode.
It's all objective,
it's all objective based.
If it was deathmatch, actually, that'd be a whole other story.
Exactly.
But a lot of people do play it like that. People get sidetracked by, that guy killed me last time. I've got a vendetta against them. It's like, just leave that alone and focus on the payload.
And you can do that style of play in the brawls. The brawls are basically, deathmatch style because it's all about you training yourself in different types of characters. There was a really amazing support brawl that I played one week that was just amazing because I'd never really played Zenyatta before that. Played him there and was like, he's amazing. Definitely playing him.
I don't think I've ever played Zenyatta.
I hate
so
Zenyatta.
Good. No. Really?
It's like Zarya as well. I can see why she's good, but I'm just like, it's not
Zarya
my
I find really hard.
Rory just basically takes any character that I like playing and just
do him better. It's like a little you're being the same guy? Did you get 5 gold medals? No.
But I think if you want to come into Overwatch now for the first time, I think the key is really you need to find other people that have been playing it so you can stick your headset on, play it with them and have them school you slightly because it is so helpful to have some experts say, if you're choosing Zenyatta, use the harmony or
team up with somebody else as well.
Team up with someone having to teach.
Because that's the other thing.
It takes a while to kind of learn the dynamics of each character. Because even part of it in like when you start the game, if you can see what the other team, what their champions are through the glass, sometimes I've seen who they're playing and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to swap to this person, even for that initial push. And that just gives you the advantage straight out the door. Yeah. So it's definitely something to think about.
And that's part of the fun of it. I feel like we're saying it like, you need to really put the effort and the work in.
Because we're very business about it.
That's the fun of Overwatch. It's, the joy of it is finding different character styles, playing these kind of matches in completely different ways. And it means, we're still playing it so many months down the line because you shake up the gameplay so much.
Yeah.
No more Overwatch chat. That's
okay. Give it a go, Mark. If you like the free weekend, you'll like the full weekend.
Charles Harris writes in. His nickname is Chules.
Hi, Chules.
I don't know what that is.
Hi, Chul back
What up, UK crew? So one time I was chilling out watching TV. This is Scary Stories because we were talking about Scary Stories last week.
I'll do the ambience.
From the corner of my eye, I could see a black image of someone peeking at me from the room across the hall. Every time I turned my head to get a clear look, it would go away. I just blamed it on my lack of sleep. But later that day, I asked my girlfriend if she ever noticed anything weird from across the room. Across the hall, sorry. She replied saying, "Oh, the little girl, you've seen her too? She's always messing around in that room."
That's
creepy. That's really creepy.
It just seems like it's a little girl.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter. You met her. You met Susan. She's lovely.
And she's probably spying on this guy and it gets embarrassed when he looks around.
Oh, that's really freaky.
Okay, by the sounds of it, there is no daughter. There is no girl. It's a ghost woman.
What?
Yeah, right? Isn't that it?
No, I think there's a little girl.
No, the instinct, isn't the
his
implication
girlfriend said, "Oh, you've seen the little girl too? She's always messing around in that room."
Yeah, like a ghost girl, like a mental little ghost girl, not a real one.
But in their own house. Why would that be?
It's not. No,
it's not a scary story if it's just a girl from like the neighbors
peeking at me from the room.
Yeah,
across the hall. Oh, maybe it is their house. What? Oh, in that case, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be a ghost girl.
Unless they live in a flat.
Chules, your story could be scarier, but you need to explain a bit more what's going on.
Did she have a demon's face, for example, or goat legs? Like what?
Yeah, these are.
And we would know if she was real.
Did her eyes glow in the dark?
Sorry, the way I read it is that it was like across the way or something.
Oh yeah, that's just a girl looking at you. That's not very scary.
All right, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Have I told you the really scary ghost story I had when I was a teenager? I might have mentioned it to you guys, but for the podcast listeners, about when I was babysitting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard this? Rory's not heard it.
I haven't heard this.
So I was babysitting when I was doing my GCSEs, and it was for a family who lived in this massive mansion, and it was really ancient, really old, and
Croft Manor.
Exactly, it was pretty much like that. And I'd put the kids to sleep. There was oldest girl was 11, middle child was 8, little boy was 3. It's like midnight, it's going through the maths homework. And then the 8-year-old comes into the room and says, Alicia, I can't sleep. And I was like, oh, what's up? And she's like, there's a man in my room. And I was like, oh, you've just woken up. It's fine. Don't worry. Like, we'll go back. You've had a bad dream. So I walk her back into the room, turn on, the fairy lights are all like softly lighting the room, kind of making the shadows deeper, but also it's like, you're nice and warm. It's fine. And I was like, see, your room's fine. No one here. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's standing right in front of you. And I was like, okay, child, let's sit down and get into bed. And Like, it was so freaky. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay with you until you fall asleep. Like, because she was so scared. She was freaking out. She was like, don't leave the room, like holding onto my arm. And so I was like, okay, let's just read some stories until you fall asleep. But she wasn't looking at me as I was reading. I think we read through the Chronicles of Narnia. She kept just looking around the room and describing what he was doing. So she was like, Alicia, he's sitting right next to you. Alicia, don't move to your right. He's like, he's standing right there.
I think you're getting trolled.
Right,
I think this kid's being like,
I genuinely, now I look back on it.
He's sticking his tongue out at you.
I think she had middle child syndrome and she was a bit like, and she'd just probably seen The Sixth Sense and was kind of just.
She'd just seen The Sixth Sense?
I'm guessing that she had. I'm guessing that she had.
I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my God, Jesus. It was terrible. And then, once she fell asleep, I had to go back into the dark, creaky Croft Manor living room and carry on doing my trigonometry by myself until the parents came home.
They better paid up, those rich parents.
Yeah.
Haunted house.
Did you tell them?
I actually didn't. I was too freaked out and I thought they'd think I was mad.
Right.
But yeah.
I love it if you told them, they're like, oh, the demon. Oh, yeah,
the demon
man.
man.
Chris. Yeah, he's lovely.
He doesn't normally come out on Thursdays. Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's the ghost of Alex's granddad, actually. He died years and years ago.
Stop talking about my granddad.
Callbacks. Doing callbacks. Not your granddad.
Alex,
the football player. Jesus, I'm not that insensitive.
Well.
Last piece of feedback?
Oh yeah, that's mine, isn't it? Cool. This is from Sausage Bros or H.Hinyata25. Take from that what you will. It says, hey guys, love the podcast. Recently I've been playing a lot of the new Destiny Rise of Iron. I loved the campaign and thought its end mission was one of the best I'd played in a long time. But afterwards I just thought, was that really worth my money? I mean, £25 for 20 new weapons, 5 missions and some reheated leftovers. It just seems a bit of a rip-off. Also, I've come into trouble pre-ordering Destiny on Amazon. When it came to pre-order bonuses, I found out that Amazon had only given me one part of the bonuses. I wonder if you've had any problems when it came to digital downloads, pre-orders, etc.
Last question. No.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about. It's like the fear of, losing a game on pre-orders or not pre-orders, like digital downloads and that sort of stuff.
Right. Because if you've played, going back to Forza, if you've played Halo Master Chief Collection or Halo 5, then you get the Warthog as a download. And I haven't played either of those, but Joe had, and he hadn't got the code for that, which I thought was a bit bad.
Yeah.
And loads of people have.
Yeah, I kind of know what he's talking about with the Rise of Iron expansion. Like £25 is a lot of money for, a game that's already received a whole collection of DLC packs. It's getting to the point where it's like, I think, relatively soon we're going to be hearing updates about Destiny 2 and its eventual release. But it's getting to the point now where it's like, I think like charging £25 for DLC for a game that's been out for a long time, that's a lot of money,
Have
that's
you played
a lot.
it?
I haven't played Rise of Iron yet.
Right.
No.
I dipped back in recently because they've bumped up the light levels, so I need my Hunter to keep up with, everyone else. I'm rocking like 312. Embarrassing, I know, guys. Please don't make fun of me. But I haven't tried out Rise of Iron yet. I've heard the campaign is really good. Because obviously the campaign for the actual Destiny game, just riddled with errors and mistakes and problems. But the DLC has gotten substantially better. Taken King was fantastic.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
good story. I mean, the raids are really good. But I've heard mixed things about Rise of Iron. I've heard essentially what he's saying is that it's very short.
Right.
And that's an issue when you're spending £25.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's tricky. I really loved Taken King. I thought they did a really good job with that. Because before with House of Wolves and stuff, I think it was kind of similar-ish to Rise of Iron in that it's a very small incremental update. But Taken King kind of set the bar in terms of what you can do in Destiny DLC. Although I guess, Taken King was more of a massive kind of injection into the series. I don't know. I've not played Rise of Iron yet. I think there's been so much hype around it, and especially when when you're going in and playing something that's been hyped up over so many months, and then it is just kind of like a few story missions and smaller, but you've also parted £25 with it, which back in the day was the price of like a full game anyway. Is like your expectations are going to be high.
Yeah, exactly. But it's DLC. You're never going to get a full game with DLC. But I will return to this question when I have played and completed Rise of Iron, and I will get back to you and let you know what my opinion is.
But people can also let us know what they think about
Yes.
Destiny
Absolutely. I insist that you do, people.
How do they let us know, Alicia?
They send us an email at IGN_. UK feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's at the top of your email, right there.
At IGN.com.
Very good.
Oh, God.
I can read.
That's it for this week's podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening and for writing in, and we will be back same time next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.